on me. Better keep up till the sun goes down. Don't chase that moon till the blood come out. Wait for me, butterfly, wait for me. I'm only trying to set you free. Wait for me, problems, wait for me. I'm only human, so let me be. Let me be. Better keep up till the sun goes down. Don't chase that moon till the blood come out. Better keep up till the sun goes down. Don't chase that moon till the blood come out.
I'd like to start that because sometimes people think of IBM in the way it used to be 25 years ago. How many of you knew that stuff? We don't do those things anymore, or we look like that now. There was one thing in there about our leaders wear jeans. I work really hard for my nice stuff, so I rarely wear jeans, but the rest of it is good. I'm gonna take you through my career. It has spanned 25 years. I know, I barely look 25 myself, right? It had spanned 25 years with IBM, and it has taken me around the world. But I want to tell you about my journey. I'm going to break it up in 3 parts. You know, before IBM, when I was in high school and college, and then my early career, and then what I've done since I've been an IBM executive. Just to give you a perspective about how I've changed and what I did along the way in preparation for each of those phases of my life and career. So, as I said, IBM has taken me around the world. I started in our federal systems business in Washington, D.C., actually 25 years ago, 1992. Oh gosh, you guys probably weren't even born then, right? These are the different places I have either lived or traveled and worked with clients. I've lived in 6 places around the world. I lived in Hursley, England, Lagode, France, Tokyo, Japan, and I've lived in Austin, in DC, and Raleigh. So IBM certainly can, if you want to be a world traveler, this is the place for you. And the good thing about all of those is I got to enjoy them on IBM's money. So it's like getting paid to take a vacation around the world. Isn't that amazing? Oh, shh, I don't think my leaders know about that, so it's a secret. So I started as a systems engineer, and today I'm a chief innovation officer. And so I graduated from North Carolina A&T State University. Anybody know about my Aggie Pride school? In electrical engineering. So people like to ask me that question, well, what did you major in, right, to do these things? And I think that's important only to say is a STEM education teaches you how to think. So whether it's a computer science or electrical engineering or civil engineering, it really is about you. You can do anything you want. And we'll talk about how do a person coming in as an electrical engineer become the chief innovation officer in IBM Research. I first have to start a little bit about me and my inspiration. I was born here, not too far from here in Brooklyn, New York. My mom she grew up in North Carolina. She came to New York to go to school, and surprise, surprise, it's a girl. So she went on to finish school and worked 25 years in New York City Board of Education, and she had certainly been my rock, my inspiration, and really taught me about being fearless and courageous and following your dreams. And my grandmother, who is dripping with Southern grace and charm, she gave me the other thing. My mom gave me the edge. My grandmother gave me a little of the grace to kind of rub, to get that edge smooth. But her house was a place that everybody would come to, and everybody wanted to sit at her dining table. So she taught me about building relationships and what were important. And I say they're my inspiration, they're my angels. I lost them both in 1999, so they didn't get to see all of this, but I know they're still here with me, and they see it. So I'll talk to you about my STEM journey milestones, and I said I'll do it in 3 parts. So let's first talk about the early years. You might imagine that I was a shy child, didn't get out a lot. Okay, maybe not so much. I was a little curious, little talkative, and so my mom channeled that into things that allowed me to expand on my creativity. And so she put me in things. She put me in things that allowed me to compete. I am the oldest of 5, and I have a brother and sister that still live in New York and 2 sisters that live outside of Atlanta, and we're a very competitive family. And so she put me in things like quiz bowls and science fairs and math fairs because I was, beating up on my younger siblings at home. I needed some competition. And she also put me in sports and dance and encouraged me to be a part of, clubs at school, like debates and SGA, because what that does is it gives you a foundation of early leadership, right? If you could be a leader among your peers, you could be a leader among your peers wherever you are. So do it at 16, do it at 26, do it at 36. And we're not claiming anything after 36. But what that is giving you a great foundation to build on. And so I moved from New York to North Carolina. I went to a high school called North Carolina School of Science and Math. Some of you may have heard of it. We have some people who are like us, but I still think we're the best in the nation, but we'll leave that there. So I became a National Achievement Scholar, and I could pretty much go anywhere I wanted to go. But it was important for me to go to a historically Black college, so off to North Carolina A&T State University. And so I went to A&T, did all the things that Mom taught me to do. She says, get engaged, get involved. Get engaged with the community, get engaged with clubs in the university, but actually focus on developing yourself as a peer leader. So getting engaged, establishing that solid foundation, increasing my technical capability as I kept going through, but I was also increasing my leadership capability. And so I went on, and as a good EE, everybody joins IEEE. Then there's NACME. And so one of the things that I was encouraged by not just my family, but my professors, is to write papers and go to conferences. So if you're not already doing that as a technical major, you should certainly think about, how am I communicating to the community that I know what I'm talking about technically? Whether it's going to be with a paper, whether it's going to be at a conference with something that you build. It's a way to demonstrate and work with your colleagues that you're going to be doing later once you graduate. This is how we share ideas, and this is how we work together. So in college, it's a good opportunity to go to those conferences, learn how to do technical papers, and learn how to do that kind of technical exchange and communication. I pledged a sorority. Alpha Kappa Alpha, anybody? Hey. And then off to graduation. Okay, I'm sorry, we're being taped. We'll talk later. So then off to graduation. I worked at a company in the summer called TRW. It's in Redondo Beach, California. And I also worked at IBM. Why I mentioned those 2 milestones is get some experience while you're in college to understand, one, what kind of technical person you want to be. Whether it's an engineer or a computer scientist, doing a co-op or summer internship will give you an idea of what real people do once they get a job. Once you take out the theory that you're going to learn in school and put it in practice at work, what does that look like, feel like? And having a co-op or internship allows you to be able to do that. And one of the things that, I said I was kind of courageous and curious and fearless. I drove to California. My parents were looking for me, and they were like, "Where are you?" I said, "I'm at the Los Angeles Marriott." "I thought you were supposed to be at your grandma's for the summer." "Well, I got this job, and I drove to California." So of course, if I ask for permission, they're like, "Well, you're too young to do that." So sometimes branch out. And anyway, my mom taught me to do that. So be willing to move and look at new opportunities. One person asked me about moving and traveling around the world. Because I was able to do that at such a young age, it was nothing for me to pick up and go spend 2 years living in another country just to experience what that would be like. So do that while you're in school. Kind of spread your wings, do things that you wouldn't normally do away from home, away from your family, just getting to know this country and getting to know this world. One of the things my mom encouraged me to do while I was still in high school is to get a passport. She's like, "You gonna get a driver's license? Well, I want you to go more than 50 miles, so you're also gonna get a passport." And so I encourage you to do that. If you haven't done that in high school, do that in college, get a passport and be ready. So then I'm off to IBM, thinking, okay, this is it. I saw this job offer. It was a lot of money, a lot more money than I had ever seen and thought of, a lot more money actually than my parents were making. So I was like, what am I gonna do? I mean, this is really it. Do they actually pay you this? Am I ready? Turns out you are ready for what they're gonna pay you for. And so, in my first couple of jobs, I worked in an area called mission systems. And so my job was to develop the algorithms that run the sonar systems on fast attack submarines. Cool job. Except for 25 years ago, they wouldn't let women on submarines. So I developed systems. I'd go to the training schools in Pearl Harbor and San Diego, and then I had to let some guy train people on my systems. Okay, well, we got a long way. We moved a long way from that. Women in technology have come a long way. Please embrace that. Please take the jobs and really focus on excelling, but know that you're sitting in a seat that now you can do things 25 years later that I couldn't do 25 years ago, although I was the one that developed the systems. So I moved around into an IBM in multiple areas. Somebody asked me earlier, why did you stay for 25 years? You could have done a lot of things. Well, as you can see, I had a lot of different assignments. I was in mission systems. I was in our network and hardware business. I was in server group. I went into research for the first time. I was on our emerging technologies leadership role. It's not because I couldn't keep a job. It's because I was getting opportunities to do something new and cool and changing. As our business was changing, I was able to move to what was new and exciting, and I was able to grow my capability while I was doing that. I became someone known for building high-performance teams, developing very highly complex systems. And so in this early career, the important thing to do is you're building your reputation of what you're going to be known for later in your career. Then one of NJIT's good friend, Nick D'Onofrio, I don't know how many of you guys know Nick, but Nick was one of my mentors at IBM, and he says, Gina, I think you'll be good in services. I said, what's that, Nick? He says, trust me. So I kind of went from an engineer to a consultant. And so I moved to our Global Business Services organization right before I became an executive, and I really found what I was supposed to be doing. So those of you that are engineer and think that we only write programs or develop hardware systems also should know that your technical expertise is very valuable in the consulting world. As a consultant, you get to stand in front of clients every day and help them with their big problems. I found that I was supposed to do it. I actually stayed in consulting for 10 straight years, because I found my home and my joy and my love. And I moved around. And so that's one of the things that you should be searching for too in your early career, is find what you love. You started as a computer scientist or an engineer, but that's not what you have to end up being, right? Use those different opportunities and the different career roles to be able to establish what kind of technical leader do I want to be. So then the big thing happened. I became an executive, and I thought I was done. If you told me when I joined the company, what do you do? Once I became executive, it's nirvana. I can relax, I can retire. But guess what? IBM wasn't finished with me yet. And so I became more and more senior executive. I had more and more senior executive roles, larger and larger teams, more and more global responsibility, and to where I am today. So I moved in our classified programs in Washington, D.C. to be an industry leader. Then the nirvana for most technical people, I became a chief technology officer. First in public sector, and then in our North America consulting business, which is about 20,000 consultants, looking at the technology solutions across every sector. So financial sector, public and private education, financial services, oil and gas, retail, so all the commercial sectors and the public sector as well. And then I took an opportunity to go work with our buddies out west, Apple-IBM partnership. Apple was focused on consumer. We're focused on enterprise. We worked together to develop a set of apps that we could use to be enterprise apps. And then this little thing called Watson came up. How many of you have heard of Watson? Good, everybody's heard of Watson. So I got the opportunity to be the first Watson Global Public Sector leader, which means it was my job to bring Watson solutions to federal governments, public-private education, and healthcare organizations around the world. Cool job, because IBM is a cognitive solutions company on a cloud platform. So imagine the excitement of where I was in my career, that we're launching a new business line, the first division, that new division we had launched in my entire career, and I got to be the first global public sector leader. So exciting there. Then back home to research. And so I had an opportunity to say, well, what we want to do is bring some industry expertise back to research. We do great technologies. We need people to tell us how it can apply to clients around the world. And what should we be building to help healthcare? And what should we be building to help public and private education progress? And what should we be building from an industry perspective? So now bringing industry experts like me back into the research realm as an executive. And so that's where I am today, still in research. And a couple of things that we focus on, or I focus on in my research team, is really trying to help understand the type of solutions that we are now bringing forward. And so as you're looking for new jobs and new roles and saying, what do I do with this engineering degree or this CS degree? Technology is driving new opportunities. So you can be a data scientist, you can be working cloud computing or cybersecurity, mobile computing, social media, digital marketing, and of course, cognitive computing. So as you begin to look at opportunities, these are the things that are kind of buzzwords in terms of what are the roles of the future. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you a little bit about research, because I think we have the finest research organization in the world, right? So of IBM's over 300,000 employees, about 3,000 of us are researchers. These are our 12 research labs around the world, and my colleagues in research are some very highly recognized and highly awarded individuals. We have Nobel laureates, we have Medal of Honor, medals of technology winners, medals of science, and of course we have IEEE fellows, ACM fellows, and others. What do we do in research? What do we focus on? One of the sessions we had earlier, we're talking about what are the kinds of things to align what you do in terms of teaching in the universities to what we're looking for. So we look for industry expertise, analytics, cybersecurity, cloud, future systems, processes, storage, switching, nanotechnologies. So across the gambit of what you're studying, whether you're in an engineering discipline or a computer science discipline, one of those things can match towards what your expertise is. And one of the things that we are building on is first we had our journey to Watson. Now, most of you probably found out about Watson when we were on Jeopardy and we beat the top 2 Jeopardy champions. But in fact, we had been working on Watson for 5 to 6 years before that. So a journey into Watson, and one of the things that is important on computer science or disciplines about, now what are the things I want to focus on? I wanted to talk about some things that underlies this mystique called Watson. So natural language processing, and question and answering, the high performance computing that it takes to do that in the time frame that we want to share those insights, knowledge representation, machine learning, which is going to be a part of most future systems, and unstructured information management. So as you begin to look at your careers and your degrees and begin to also look forward to what do I focus on if I want to go to graduate school, these are some of the things that you should be thinking about, because systems and solutions of the future are going to underpin and have those key elements in them going forward. Now, I don't just work with my clients and make money for companies around the world and do great things for federal government agencies. I actually work hard in my community, and that's a big thing for us IBMers. I think as you talk to any IBMer, what they'll tell you is it's as important for us to make sure that we're examples and that we're working actively in the communities that we live in and serve, as we are with any things that we do with our clients. That's a part of our company culture and something that we do personally. Some of the things that I work with personally are, we have our P-Tech High School in Brooklyn, not just because I'm from Brooklyn, but just because it's a great thing to do. Our Reading Companion program, where we're helping children and adults learn to read. And we're linking them with other people in an environment to be able to bring that assistance. We have an on-demand community that says if there is an organization that you're volunteering in, it could be your church, it could be a civic organization that means something to you, you can work through IBM and saying, hey, I'm giving these hours, I'd like IBM to help match it with some grants. So places that you care about and that you're spending time in, this is a good way to get them funds, matching funds from the IBM company. And then smarter mentoring, linking with organizations where it be, young women is where I focus my time in being able to connect. Somebody talked to me about, hey, I want to hear from a vice president how I have an interview. Anything, any number of things like that is finding out a person to link through and helping them, coaching them and mentoring through these things that are going to come up, whether it be their transition from college to from university to work, or hey, I'm thinking about graduate school. Can you help me about some curriculums, or any number of things that professional women can reach back and help other students. And then we have something that might be interesting to your innovation program team, is something called the Global Entrepreneurship Program. Because guess what? You have the opportunity to go work for somebody or start your own company. So take this opportunity as you're thinking about your transition from university to careers, whether or not you want to go off to work for somebody or start your own startup. Get some of your buddies from class and you work together well on projects, you have a great idea, you think it can make a lot of money, you're young still, get some VC capital funding, go for it, right? And this will give you an opportunity to take a look at saying, well, how do I get help from people who know what's out there, who can help develop and coach me into having my first VC meeting, or to tell me if my idea is something I should keep in my garage or if somebody would really buy this one day, right? To just get some input on what that might be. And then as you look forward, and more so if you're going to go to graduate school or look to have some research, these are collaborative programs to work with IBM Research. We have our faculty award programs. We have our open collaborative research program where students and an IBMer will work together around a topic, shared research university grants, and then our IBM PhD fellowship programs. And then finally, one of the questions people ask still is, why do you stay? I mean, I've been here long enough that I could have gone out on the .com and made trillions of dollars like some of my friends, or you could go to anywhere. When you're talented, there's always an opportunity to take your talent somewhere. The reason I'm still here 25 years as an IBMer is really that last bullet, and it's our diverse portfolio of opportunities. I've had as you've seen, I've had 3 or 4 careers, and I've never had to leave the company. I've lived everywhere I wanted to live around the world, and if I didn't live there, I've probably been there on a business trip. And I've been able to grow as a leader and grow as a technical woman leader, and most importantly, a diverse woman leader in a company to senior level management. Because they rewarded my merit, they valued my talent, and I was developed in a way that allowed me to be able to have this work for the world. And so I certainly believe that the opportunities are there for you in IBM, but as you see, it's really about options. Please understand taking your STEM education or your technical degree is really your passport to doing anything you want to do in the world. And with that, I'll leave with our favorite slogan, and people say, what does it take? And we talked a lot about curriculums, we talked a lot about jobs, but for 25 years, IBM's paid me to do one thing, really, and that's to think. I've done it a little better than some. I've done it more creatively than others, and that's why I've progressed. And so understand, wherever you start, that's not where you're going to finish. As technology is changing, you're not going to be doing that 5 years or 10 years or 20 years in. But what you can do is think about what's next. And what you can do is be the leader to bring that what's next to the table. And so with that, I'll end my journey. I hope it has inspired yours, and I wanted to save time for some questions from the audience. Thanks for your time.